wake up to Bill Flynn in the morning.
They're watching grass grow.
What, with like a super growth formula or something?
Well, no. Grass is already so interesting. Why bother?
Well, grass is not only interesting, it's fascinating, and we're going to talk about where things are in the cycle of seasons for your lawn, for your garden, for what we need to be doing right now, so when springtime comes around, it'll be a beautiful time for you. And to help us navigate those waters from GrowinGreen is Tommy Cowett.
Good morning.
Who returns. Jonathan Rigsby helped us out last week, did a fine job. You were on vacation last week.
I was, but I listened to the podcast, and that turned out really great. And it just so happened that there's a kind of a big-time lawn care gentleman from Ohio that was passing through the area heading down to Myrtle Beach. And he caught the whole show last week with Jonathan.
Oh, good. Excellent.
And then he gave Jonathan a call. He said, I got goosebumps. I mean, it was
really
cool.
That is great to hear.
He could not believe, that he was just so impressed with.
Well, Jonathan tends to know his stuff, so that's a good thing. So we missed you on your vacation. Can you tell us just a little bit about your vacation?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm still reeling from it. It was great. Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina.
Now, when you say reeling, is that a fishing reference?
Yes, it is. My little brother John has a Carolina skiff, and he put me on a really nice Spanish mackerel.
Wow.
And we almost swamped the boat one time because we were fishing this little inlet between Holden Beach and Ocean Isle Beach, and we just let the current drift us back into the channel to near the intercoastal, and we were just killing them. These Spanish mackerel, just casting these lures, and oh man!
So you
great.
Had some fine eating. Did you keep some and cook them up?
No, we threw those back, but
Okay.
we did go clamming, and we did great on the clamming. We ate a lot of clams.
Ooh.
So, and then we went down and met an amazing gentleman who has an oyster house there, McAllister. And this guy owns casinos. He was one of the first guys to build the casinos down in Florida, like Cape Canaveral, that area. I believe it was Cape Canaveral. But he would put these, these gambling boats together, casino boats, and go out 3 miles off the coast. He was keen to the laws about getting offshore with that. Got all the permits. Next thing you know, this guy's building hotels down there. But, hey, his favorite place on earth. And it says when you're leaving that little part of, it's right there between, I think it's kind of like near Charlotte, between Charlotte and Ocean Isle Beach.
Great. Right here.
Says, you are leaving the best place on earth. And it's true.
How nice.
The Spanish, we went looking for these old oyster and crab houses we used to go to when we were kids, where you're going down this road toward the intercoastal on the sound side. And then, all that Spanish moss.
I
and
can
I took
see it
pictures
right
of
now.
a lot of trees. The sunsets down there are amazing. Every year, big sky. But one of the most fun things, we were making fun of this viral video from YouTube where a guy sees a double rainbow. And he starts going nuts. I mean, it's going on and on and on.
I've
he's
heard
like,
that. Yes,
he's like crying. And like it'll stop a little bit. And next thing you know, he's getting excited again. Oh my God, it's a double rain. It's full blown double rainbow. Oh my! Oh! And we were doing that because we were seeing rainbows almost every night.
Did you see double rainbow?
We didn't see a double, but we saw a full rainbow.
Well, that's fine.
So I had to do a comedy video or parody on that.
I'm seeing a very nice photograph from your trip down to the beach. So you actually ended up enjoying some time away. That's good, important to do. Interestingly enough, You're still outside. You're still enjoying the outdoors, which is what you do on the job.
It was probably good to get away because I became famous in the Greensboro News and
Record.
Record.
Now tell me about it. This is a 2-part series that was printed in the News and Record.
I wrote the articles back, I guess, in January called Romancing the Lawn Part 1 and 2.
And we talked about that before they were published, this whole concept. I remember.
Ellen Ashley, who's a very well-known gardening expert, and she teaches gardening courses, and she invites me to come and help her and teach one course each year. I've been doing it for the past 3 years. They were asking her to write some articles, and she said, I don't have time for writing a features ad or a features column, but I can put together some experts. And she put together a stable of experts, me being one, and wanted me to write about organic lawn care. because that's what we do in Growing Green. And it really is different from everybody else.
By the way, you made on the Life section the front page of the Life section in the most recent edition. I didn't see the first one.
That was right from August 23rd. Take your lawn back to basics of nature. And that's basically talking about, how do you romance the lawn? How do you really give back to Mother Nature? And a Gallup poll shows that the number one thing we do to care for the environment, actually, the environment is the number one thing on people's minds, right? What are we doing about it, though? Gallup poll show that is the number one thing on people's minds is how do I give back to or protect the environment?
What can I do at this level? I can't change, the ice count and the polls or something like that. Or
shut down the power plants like some people want to do or things like that. Those are ridiculous things to try to do. But it's recycle, which is a good start, Well, this is taking that to another level, with what we're doing with the compost tea. And it's when you're applying this is not polluting the groundwater and the environment. This is doing it right. This is letting nature do its job. And I'm telling them that you can kick back, relax, and let the lawn take care of itself if you get it right.
What a concept that is. What you just said is so powerful because I think many of us think almost like working on a project or like a car that's high maintenance. You're always having to tinker with it.
Oh, yeah.
But your point is that natural disposition for the lawn, it tends to want to go there if you get out of the way and help it work
if you
with
nurture
nature.
it.
Yeah.
Sure. Hey, and that's what this is all about. And the way we do lawn care. Now, there was a guy wrote in an editorial, a landscaper, who got upset about the article because it looked like an advertisement for Growing Green, but it really isn't. They were looking for somebody who's doing something different, and we are. And that's the thing about it is, hey, if you want to go do something different and show them and get excited about it and get other people excited about it and share your ideas and share your knowledge, do it.
But it's not
But
just,
don't complain when somebody else gets in the limelight for doing that.
It is not just something different in the sense that it is something different that gets measurable clinical results.
Sure.
And that's the thing. I can do something different tomorrow, but the difference may not be something I'm going to want to hang on to, right?
It is true. If you start doing something different or say you stop, you've been on this synthetic lawn care program with a national company for a long time, and they're just spoon feeding the plant. There's no roots. And if you don't get the next shot, then the lawn's going to go into withdrawal, because it needs that boost. It's addicted to nitrogen, where what we're doing, the microbes are feeding the plant.
Okay,
not us, but we're nurturing the microbes.
We will pick it up right there with AM 980 The Eagle. It's the Love Your Lawn Hour. And if you have a question about what's going into your lawn or what you're looking for, maybe some victories or defeats regarding your lawn, love to hear from you right now. Run it by the expert, Tommy Cowett with Growing Green, 896-1980.
Call now. The number is 896-1980. AM 980 The Eagle.
Good morning. We continue with the Love Your Lawn Hour. On AM 980, The Eagle, Tommy Cowett is with Growing Green.
Good morning.
Great thing about this show, whether it's the live broadcast over the air, the live stream over the internet, or the podcast after the fact, you never know who might be zooming by listening. And you referenced earlier in the show, there was a fellow that was actually from Ohio.
Sure.
That had been listening last week when Jonathan was hosting the show.
Yeah, he's a nationally acclaimed turf guy. And I think his name is Cooper, but...
But Jonathan didn't know he was listening.
No, he didn't.
But after the fact, what did he sent you an email or a call or something?
He called John right after the show and was like, "Hey, I heard your whole show. Hey, we haven't talked in years." This was, I guess, it goes back to when John was the president of the North Carolina Turfgrass Council, and they got to know each other. Big gurus in the turf business. And Hey, what a cool thing.
Well, it is. In the this is the kind of stuff that Jonathan may, because of what he talked about on the show last week, may get invited to do a seminar through this guy in Ohio. I mean, you never know where these things
Absolutely. I
go.
think this guy is one of these coaches. He's a business coach, teaches lawn care companies, goes around the country, doing seminars or workshops for people, come into their office and work with the whole staff.
And
teach
then
sales training, does, tech training. Things like that.
Which is, if you're doing small business, that you do, you've got to wear every hat if you're one of those key folks in the company.
You're sharing your knowledge, your expertise, and you get paid for it. And you travel. We've had quite a few of those guys come by we've hired them to come in to, coach us. They're business coaches. And it's good to get that kind of coaching.
But additionally, too, Jonathan is on the radio. The guy from Ohio is listening, as well as our regular crew that joins us for this segment. And then you're in the newspaper doing the the romancing the lawn, and people are actually coming over.
Oh,
but
my
you're
God.
doing a meeting with a client, and then that client tells somebody else who says, "I want to come over and meet Tommy Cowett because of what this article and what you guys are doing at GrowinGreen."
I become a little bit of a celebrity out here.
You don't have the sunglasses. Where are the sunglasses?
Sunglasses, I lost them. I got a really weird
gracious.
pair of my daughter's sunglasses in the car because I had to mow my lawn last night. I got back from the beach.
You and me both. I had to do the same thing.
Man, I had the
yesterday.
worst thing happen to me. I get back to on Saturday evening, and you guys must have got you did get deluged because we know they had to cancel the JV game at Page last Thursday night because they got 6 inches of rain in 2 days, and the field was soaking wet.
Boom.
I was like, no, you're not going out there. So they canceled. They just postponed it, but for another date. But it's dried up now. They got a big game against Northern coming up, I think, on Friday night. That's going to be the big opener. But the field is fabulous.
Is that one of the fields you worked on?
That is the one we got back. It died, and
yes.
now it is 100%. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. You never know it ever got winter kill.
I want to talk a little bit, too. We've just come off the Wyndham. And one of the things people are talking about, in addition to the boost in turnout and TV ratings, because Tiger decided this was his year to come.
Absolutely.
But, if you look at some of the settings, I mean, Sedgefield look world class. This is right here.
It is world class.
And the gorgeous, the deep green colors that
Oh,
you
God.
saw. And talk to me a little bit about
we are very familiar with Sedgefield. A former employee helped do the grow-in on that course before the Wyndham was even there, and he planted a new type of Bermuda grass, ultra dwarf, and on the greens. So the greens are now Bermuda. And, there's a lot of maintenance that goes into those, but they are phenomenal.
They look so good on TV.
Oh, they are gorgeous.
And you're talking, when you're looking at HD, it's pretty unforgiving. Any, a speck of sand on the green from the trap, you're going to see that.
Oh, yeah, man.
But, it really presented well. And I think it's a lesson to a lot of us that, gosh, in this part of the country, at this time of the year, there is a way to get that kind of look if that's really what you want.
Hey, man, it was a lot of work. They lost a lot of grass over there, and they were able to get it back through sprigging and sodding, and you name it. They worked like we did.
Talk about pressure being on.
Oh, it was on. I mean, I drove through there. I had to go look at a customer's house. Got a zoysia lawn over in Sedgefield week before I left for vacation. They'd already built that village. I mean, all those structures around each green, the sky boxes, those things are air conditioned. I mean, it's awesome. Every green. And we've got some customers who are on the golf course. One of my favorites is Karen Rittenhouse, who happened to be in the newspaper as well, because every year she's got about 100 employees. They're in the real estate business. And they've got an awesome house over there with an awesome landscape. And we're doing the lawn care on that. And she had about 100 employees, and they did like a pig picking in the backyard, or they had a really great, for all their employees. And I've been invited over there to go. Heck, if I could have gone, I just watched it on TV, which I thought was just awesome watching it on TV. A little bit I guess I got in about 4 o'clock and got to see Tiger on Saturday and watched that second round, and then the final round I watched the whole thing. Actually, I was going between that. Man, Sunday was an awesome day. You had the Wyndham.
Yes.
You had a Carolina Panthers game. No, that was Saturday. And you had Bristol. So I was like really busy with
and
my
the
remote.
Winston-Salem Open is now coming in swing, too. So, I mean, lots to go on there. But when you're watching, for instance, when you were watching the Wyndham, I know that you're paying attention to the minutia of the grounds more so than most anybody else.
Sure.
I mean, did it strike you as looking really good?
I thought it looked awesome. I thought they looked great. And, I'm really, to have Tiger Woods, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is a big-time thing for Greensboro and the Wyndham.
And, you're going to have that much focus, that much visibility. The last thing you want is for it to look scruffy or, you got problem grass areas. That's what I mean by the pressure.
Hey, years ago, I was in the chemical business, and I used to call on that golf course, the superintendent there, and, sell them chemicals and things like that. And now with the mini verdes and the Princess Bermuda grass, these ultra dwarf, they don't have to put as much input. Not as much fungicides. Not as much herbicides.
Back to the theme of working with nature.
Exactly.
And it's coming
They
increasingly
use a
full circle.
lot of humic acid over there on that golf course.
All right, we're going to take a short break and come back with more. Love Your Lawn Hour. Tommy Cowett joins us from Growing Green.
Call now. The number is 896-1980, AM 980, The Eagle.
Good morning. We continue this morning with the Love Your Lawn Hour. The always passionate Tommy Cowett joins us this morning.
Good morning.
Tommy's an agronomist, a master's degree in agronomy from North Carolina State University, and has spent really much of his professional life focused on his lawn and your lawn and how to make things better. Interestingly enough, earlier on the show today, Smith Patterson stepped out and said he knew how to make world-class tea.
Yeah, I heard that earlier.
Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
And I mentioned my mom, who, bless her heart, rest her soul, 93 years old, she never learned to make Southern iced tea.
Sure.
And this tea reference really captured you a little bit.
It did. And I'm just, the way I'm seeing it is she was from Illinois.
Yes.
Industrial Illinois.
Yeah.
Down south here, we do things our own way. We try to do it on the cheap, but it comes out better. She was probably buying some kind of store-bought industrial tea.
Yes, she was.
And that's up there, DeKalb County and all those big bread basket
Yes,
areas
there's a lot
where,
of that going on.
It's see those soils up there in the Midwest, in the bread basket of the U.S., where they grow all that corn. Those big, beautiful, deep soils up there, black, rich, down to like 10 feet. That didn't come from glacier. That came from microbial life over a couple thousand years. And what it was tall grass prairie out there for miles and miles. And buffalo roaming for years and eons, right? Now you got buffalo pooping, you got the tall grass prairie, and then you got this thing called mycorrhiza fungi growing with the grasses. And mycorrhiza produce this, they're called glomus. It's a glomalin. This is a substance that's secreted by the fungi, which becomes a black substance, which made those soils really, really deep. And this is what
really
I'm talking
rich,
about
deep.
with building soil. That's what we're doing here on your lawn.
But we don't have buffalo we're going to invite for our
We
lawns.
don't. And, that's good because those damn things are mean. I mean, I saw an article last week where a lady was attacked by one, and my nephew, when we were at the beach, my nephew and I were talking about how up in Maymont Park in Richmond, he was charged by a buffalo one time.
Is that right?
Yep.
They're enormous, by the way, as well.
And they're mean.
Huge.
They're smart. They don't like people.
Well, we've done a few things to give them that impression, I'm
I think
afraid.
we did. But they added to the building of those soils. The whole thing, the whole microbiology and the biology going on for eons and eons built those soils. Now, big agriculture's ruining it with ammonium sulfates and all these harsh chemicals. So I just worry about the bread basket. What's the future of it if they continue to go down the path of this big business, big agriculture, applying the ammonium sulfate, the ammoniacal fertilizers. They're destroying it.
And on the other side of that equation, though, and you've talked about this, even touched on it on this show, is that back to that tea reference, that compost
The compost tea, that is
together.
exactly what we're applying. You're taking compost and you're steeping it, just like you could put it in a tea bag, steep it in water. Some people like to use a bubbler. Now, that's for your own garden and your own house plants and things like that. It's great. But on a big scale like what we do, when we're mixing up a 6,000-gallon batch, it's just impossible to make it yourself. So we do secure a really great, high-quality compost tea from a manufacturer of compost tea. And they are the best in the world. And we stand by that product, and we've been using it, love it. Now, we use other types of biostimulants as well, not just one. We're using a lot of different stuff. The concoction we put together to put on your lawn is a really nice brewed compost tea, like the kind of stuff I'd love to taste that Smith makes. I'd love to get his recipe.
I want you to discuss, too. You just recently at GrowinGreen went through a training session, and tell me what you talked about and why it's important to do that.
So happy to hear. The guys did it while I was gone, but they went to Paul Senior Botanical Garden.
Nice place.
Which we maintain the lawns there, and we're helping them with those lawns. And, basically it's a lot. It goes into it. Every year you've got to calibrate your equipment. You got to calibrate your seed spreaders. You make sure all your aerators are working, your aeravators and your slit seeders are working good. Just practicing the techniques. The guys had like a field day last Friday over at Paul Senior. Hey, I had the opportunity to do some big photo shoots, and just things like that. I had a great time. I went over yesterday morning to see the results. Awesome cores we pulled. We did some fertilizations, and everything is really popping, ready to seeded. It's going to be awesome. So check out the lawns at Paul Senior Botanical Garden this fall. They're going to be awesome.
We come across, if we go shopping at all for groceries, we'll find a line of premium products, And a premium product comes at a bit of a price increase, but it has maybe more pure ingredients, fewer ingredients. I think there's some even premium ice creams which only have milk and sugar and natural flavors, and that's it,
Nice.
And you pay a premium for that. Similarly, too, we're talking about premium seeding is something that you at GrowinGreen have been very much on the forefront of.
It is a premium seeding service. We don't just come poke a few holes, scratch it up, and leave. And we do come back if it needs, washes out or something like that happens. We come prepared. We come with a core aerator. That's also known as like a plugger, and that pulls the cores. Now, that's great for a really good lawn. If you have a good, healthy lawn, that's great to relieve the compaction in the soil, pull the cores. It reduces thatch. It reduces the bulk density of the soil, allows a lot of air. That's why they call it aeration. Air to get down into the soil. The roots love it. Seeds will fall into the holes. I don't like the seeds to go too deep into the holes because they might never be seen again. But it's, that's where, it's a great lawn anyway. It doesn't need a lot of extra. So that's for core. Now, if you got bare areas, you got slopes, you got areas that are just hard, compacted, you got areas that are just wore out, they were ruined by past chemical applications of synthetic fertilizers over there. You got soluble salt buildup, you got localized dry spots.
Or a lot of direct sun that's in the path of sun nearly all day.
It's just like brick,
Yes.
Right. In those areas, we'll bring an aerator and really work the soil. It's more like a tiller. It has this articulating fingers, and that will really work the soil, makes a perfect seed bed.
Okay, hold it right there. We'll continue the discussion about premium seeding, really what that is, what that's involved with, and why GrowinGreen is one of the great companies that does offer this in their signature way. And we'll continue with Tommy Cowett of GrowinGreen. If you have a question for our expert, 896-1980.
Call now. The number is 896-1980, AM 980, The Eagle.
946, the final segment of the Love Your Lawn Hour. With us is Tommy Cowett from GrowinGreen. And if you would like to go, let me encourage you to visit the website at growinggreen.com. That's GrowinGreen, GrowinGreen.com. And there's an Ask the Expert segment on there. There's also a catalog of previous shows that we've done on topics across the board, everything from irrigation to what we're talking about this morning, aeration, and all the steps along the way and in between. You were talking, and you said something I think a lot of people might say, what, really? When you make that aeration hole, you said the last thing you want is for the seed to go too deeply into that hole. And explain what you're looking for there.
If that core you pulled is 2 inches and you got seed 2 inches down, it's probably not going to come up. I mean, it's not going to germinate. It's too deep. You want it in the first half inch, or really you want it on the surface and have those cores break down. Because the first thing you really got to do is get that seed wet. Got to get it to imbibe with water. It's grass seed is a very dry, hard thing. And you got to get it soaking wet. You got to get it to really soak so that it imbibes with water and swells up. Next thing you know, you got a little radical, which is the first root that comes out of that baby. It's going to find some soil and go ahead and get tacked in, and then you're gold. That baby's going to roll. And, if the cores are breaking down on the surface, that's, they're breaking down into nice textured soil on the surface, not back in the hole.
So that seed, that grass seed, is looking, its optimum place to live is going to be in that top quarter inch.
Quarter to half inch.
Wow.
That's where it's going to germinate the best.
Because I guarantee you.
Way deep in the hole, it's not. Now, a lot of people botch their seeding if, they didn't add any, say, organic matter to the soil that was just going over bare area. You come back the next year and you say, oh, I could see the plug holes, or I could see where the grass only came up in the hole. Well, you really wanted the grass to come up over the whole area, but it only came up in the hole because the cores broke down. All the seed went into the hole, and, a few of them germinated, and that's what you ended up with was hair plugs. So we recommend a lot of times if you got a dry spot, a bare spot, and you're trying, but that's good. I mean, at least you got hair plugs this year. Next year you'll get more. You'll get in between the hair plugs next year, or try again. I mean, it's ideally it's good to have a good soil, and if you're repairing a bad compacted soil that's just bare ground, you really want to add some organic matter to that soil. With microbes. Really, with compost is the best thing to apply. We like to recommend the soil conditioner from Home Depot and Lowe's. You can get it, which is inexpensive. And what it does is if you have the cores, or we're using and this soil just wants to go back to being a brick, those little chips, even if it's kind of chunky, kind of organic matter, like Nature's Helper is the one I recommend a lot. I don't think it's available anymore at Home Depot. They've got an orange bag soil conditioner now. But the chunks will go down in, or we'll work them in with the aerator, and it holds the soil open. It's not going to let it go back to being compacted. And we're going to get some roots to grow. We're going to get the grass seed up. It's going to hold a lot more moisture. It's better than using straw. And even pine needles are better than using straw. That way you're not putting down weed seed with straw. But, but anyway, you really want to get something worked into that soil because it's going to want to go back. It has an affinity. Poor soil like that that's compacted, doesn't have any organic matter in it, it's going to want to just go back to being a brick again. So it's really good to amend it and add some organic matter. And we'll ask the customer, hey, on all your bare spots, go buy 10 bags of soil conditioner. Just spread it out about a half inch everywhere. Not too expensive and won't take you very long.
And then you come along.
And then we come with the equipment and work it in.
And
we'll spread that stuff around and get it worked into the soil. Then we'll put the seed in. Sometimes we'll put half the seed out first. Work it in, and then come back with a little top dressing of seed. And we do some raking around the edges, things like that. I mean, we just really take our time and do a really premium seeding service when we come.
All right, talk to me about the urgency and the window of scheduling we have in order to maximize that season. It's here now.
It is.
Really, boom. I'm back to school means back to fixing the lawn.
Sure, and if you have, it's funny. I got a customer. She uses her knee, and she could tell. This is an amazing lady, Net Mills. She takes care of a lot of lawns in the Irving Park area in Greensboro. She's been doing this for 30 years. Her knee tells her when it's time to seed. But that's her. So she's going to do her own seeding, but she says, Tommy, I know when it's time to seed.
Does she get an arthritic ache in her knee or something
something
like
that?
Okay.
Yeah. The Mother Nature tells her when it's time to seed.
She's not dipping her knee into the lawn to
Yeah.
test the soil makeup or anything.
And, it usually works, and she doesn't have to give a lot of instruction to her customers or anything. It usually works great. Now, with us, we leave instructions on how to water. For the first 2 weeks, you're going to want to water for 15 to 20 minutes a day. Just to keep it wet, you want to get it soaked.
That's really
get
saturated.
the seed. You want to get that seed imbibed with water so it swells up. Don't let it dry out. It can dry out, but, don't leave it for a few days, come back, and it's all gone. You want to keep it constantly moist just by watering a little bit a day and just keep moisture in the soil and try to get that seed wet. Mm-hmm. And everything works great as long as you do that. Now, you can wait on Mother Nature. But last year, I remember coming to Winston-Salem it was the 1st of September when we usually start, and I could hear aerators in the background. I looked up, and the sky was just blue. And something told me, I guess sort of like a net's knee, something was telling me, man, this is dry. This is dry. And it didn't rain for a month. And all that seeding and aeration going out, it's not going to work if it doesn't have water.
Right. You can do everything right, but if that last combination of water.
You got to have some moisture.
If you have lawn irrigation, that helps a long way for doing what you're talking about. But for a lot of folks, it's pulling that sprinkler around or getting that sprinkler. What do you think of those sprinklers on the wheels that actually move themselves? Tell
Love
me
them.
about
I
your
used
view.
to have the rain train. Those are like those little tractors that pull the hose around. That's awesome. And then I like the tripod sprayers. If you got a big area you're establishing along, the ones up on a tripod, that's going to give you much better coverage. As the rain droplets or the droplets are falling, it's higher up. It's going to give it a little more time to disperse when it comes down. But I love the rotary impact type. That's a and you could set them up on different angles and things like that.
Right, and moving those things around is important to make sure you get the full coverage.
Yeah,
or especially the areas where you have maybe a problem point where you've really, really seeded well, and you got to make sure you get things going there.
Yeah, you got to get it going. I mean, you've got to keep it watered, keep it moist for a couple of weeks, and then you're gold. Mm-hmm. You should be fine.
So if you can, for a couple of weeks, if you can get out there and dodge the spray and get out there and move that thing around.
And do a rain dance while you're doing it.
Okay, and making sure
you don't have to do it.
You're getting the coverage that you want, right?
You got to get the coverage. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
With the oscillating type that are the little, streams, there's multiple streams going. I don't like them so much. They just don't wet it down. It takes too long. It's just that's where you got to let it water for 30 minutes to get the same effect that you would get 15 minutes out of a rotary impact head. I like those better. You get more volume of water. You get it done quicker. You can move your sprinkler quicker. Some people, I see the oscillating type, and I go, oh, no, man. It's going to take him forever to get this thing wet. So I prefer the rotary impact.
I can tell you do. Listen, it's been a great segment again.
Thanks,
I want to
Bill.
thank Tommy Cowett for joining us this morning with GrowinGreen, and we got, just about a minute left here to wrap up, and final thoughts here as we're moving into September, maybe even let's quickly look after this critical window of seeding, aeration, and watering. Then we got what can be a harsh winter, and that grass is still doing its thing over that time underneath the ground, right?
Sure. Well, the harsh winter's going to come. Everything's going to kind of, with tall fescue, it's going to go dormant. And there's really nothing you really need to do to protect it. It's going to be fine. It just, it can handle some cold. It's a cool season grass. But should be fine. We would never lose any tall fescue to cold damage. You're just not going to lose it to cold damage. You will lose some Bermuda. But as we proved this year, you can get that back. But, yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Tommy Cowett is GrowinGreen.com. Good to see you. Thank you so much. And 1-866 Lawn Help if you'd like to call them. You need to schedule. If you're going to, time is running out.